For more on that story, we're joined by Mr. Jeff Steinberg from the Executive Intelligence Review, who's with us on the line from Washington. Mr. Steinberg, in the run-up to probably one of the key weeks of the 2012 Republican presidential race, why has the South Carolina primaries been described by the mainstream media as being a closed primary when it's an open primary? And if you may, can you describe for our viewers the differences between a closed and open primary?
Yeah, sure. Well, let's start with the difference. In an open primary, any voter, no matter what their party affiliation is allowed to vote. And so what this means is that in the state of South Carolina, and it's very clear if you just go to the State Board of Elections website, all registered voters are allowed to vote in either the Democratic or the Republican primary. Obviously, you can't vote in both, but you can vote in one or the other, whether or not you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent registered voter. And in fact, they don't even really keep records in South Carolina of party affiliation, so it's not even an issue. In a closed primary, you have to be a registered voter for that party, and it tends to be a lot more restrictive. And of course, people change their minds all the time. Right now, we have a situation where over 50% of registered voters and an even higher percentage of likely voters in the United States are independent because they're so disgusted with the leadership and the performance in Congress and in the White House of both political parties that they want something different. In fact, a recent poll shows that President Obama would be, for a majority of Democrats, it would be preferred to have an actual primary challenge where somebody else is running against him. And among Republican voters, 58% would prefer to have some other candidate on the ballot beyond the candidates who they have to choose from now. So there's rampant voter dissatisfaction, and the reasons, I think, are pretty obvious. The Congress is dysfunctional. The Obama administration's been a disaster, especially on the issues of the U.S. economy. So we're in a period of political realignment where nothing is written in stone, where no candidate is secure just because they're an incumbent, and where both parties are really disintegrating from the standpoint of losing popular support.
Mr. Steinberg, can you tell us what is so important about the South Carolina primary?
Yeah, sure. It's the first primary in the southern states of the United States. South Carolina is a larger state than New Hampshire. Iowa has a peculiar caucus process, so a very, very small percentage of citizens turn out for these caucuses. So in a very real sense, South Carolina is the gateway to the entire Southern vote in the United States, and that's a very important factor in presidential elections when you consider that George W. Bush and Bill Clinton, the last two presidents prior to Obama, both came from the South. It's a growing population area, and so South Carolina is a real test of which Republican candidate really stands a chance of winning against President Obama.
All right, many thanks, Mr. Jeff Steinberg from the Executive Intelligence Review, with us on the line from Washington.